welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. I'm your host, Adam Cook, and I'm very quickly learning that podcasting right after you've eaten dinner is not necessarily a good thing. Joining me on this journey is Adam Carroll.
Adam Cook, it's a pleasure to be here. What did you have for dinner?
I was hoping you'd ask, but I will have to make you hold on while I tell everyone that Gary Bailey also joins us this week.
Hello there. I'm also interested in what you've just eaten.
Well, I think the only real sensible way for this podcast, every other podcast has their own way of introducing things. The only way that I can think this podcast should start is that you each get 3 guesses, because that's the way we do things.
All right.
So, Adam Carroll, go one each.
Okay.
Let's just see how well you know me. I think maybe this works. Does it? I don't know.
Carbonara.
Nope. Gary?
Chippy.
Oh, the voice went a bit there. Sorry about that, everyone. Adam Carroll.
Spaghetti.
Do you know Adam Carroll's close with both of his answers? Sort of. No, he's not. You're wrong.
What the fuck? All right.
I was. Gary.
See, now I don't know what to say. Lasagna.
God, genuinely, I think the two of you have got 3 meals that I think are kind of in the ballpark, but that's wrong as well.
And then,
Adam Carroll, no pressure. Just getting you ready for the New Year's quiz.
Well, going off of like what we've just mentioned, I'm going to take a stab and say, is it the obvious one? Is it pizza?
Oh, there was a moment where I thought you were going to get it, and it would just, to me, it would have been amazing. But no, it isn't. You've gone.
You could have let go of the. Do you know?
Yeah, I could have, but it's if my voice would crack again. Gary, last chance.
Come on, Gaz.
I've got nothing.
Hang on.
I can't even think
at least a hint. It's a dish that was served with rice. I mean, it's a bit late for hints, probably.
Curry?
But no, it was chili con carne. Oh. Do you see what I mean? You were kind of close with the lasagna. You got the kind of the tomatoey, sauce there, and it was chili con carne. It was delicious, but I'm concerned. If you're going to have a meal before you have to go in a room and be silent, and
did you have those big beans and shit in it? Like, did you get
the chili beans? Yes, we did. Yeah,
like they're dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, if the podcast's short this week, people are going to know, aren't they?
Like, are you sure that was actually from your mouth?
One of them was.
Yeah, the one that squeaked wasn't.
Yeah, no, that one that went. That was no. Video games are happening. We've got 2 Souls likes this week, believe it or not. So much so that we actually were getting comments on some of our content on YouTube, youtube.com/GodIsGeek, saying, which one should I buy? And Mick Fraser's actually done a video, and the answer is surprising, and I would probably come down the same way as he done. But Gaz, you and I both played a preview build of the Surge 2.
We did.
Oh, I don't know when it was now. Time seems to be standing still.
It was only like a month ago, wasn't it?
I know, but just the amount of games.
It was sometime in August. I remember that much.
I will just say probably I agree. But you've played the game now. You played on PC. Yeah. I haven't even started the retail version. Not that I don't want to. I genuinely do. I really liked what I played of the preview build, comparing it to the previous ones. But we're not here to hear what I think, because I haven't played it. You have, Gaz.
Yes. I was really surprised. I mean, obviously I played the preview, so I kind of had a bit of an idea of what was coming, but the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it, even though, as you know, I swore and raged quite a lot.
Oh, you were having...
Oh, God, some of the... Some of the bosses...
had the same experience, though, mate. Like, every time someone's reviewing a Souls-like game, and it is a genre now, so let's just go with it. You have that same experience. Like, I had the experience you had with one of the bosses in Code Vein. I did the same with Dark Souls 3. Whenever these games are reviewed, I think this is the experience, the kind of... Well, you get frustrated. You're sort of going through them at a nice sort of click, aren't you? And you're like, oh, this is really good. And then you hit a boss that fucking... Yeah. And then you're like, nah, I hate this game. And then you go away and you come back and you do it and you're like, oh no, that was brilliant. And now I'm doing well again. And oh god, there's another one.
It's like is it like the 5 stages of like grief or whatever? It's like there should be a similar thing for Souls likes, because you really do get it. I mean, like the first major boss took me probably about an hour's worth of tries to beat because it just took so. I mean, part of it was just because it was such a long boss battle.
I did get the impression from the preview build that this is harder. And Mick Fraser, who played it first, the video production side of things, he also said he felt like the Surge 2, to him, obviously he hasn't finished it, he said it felt harder.
Are you sure you were talking about that?
Well, I mean, you can never be too sure.
I don't know, I thought it was fairer. Because, like, the first Surge, I mean, you'll remember, like, there was some issues with that combat where you just felt like it was always against you, no matter what. You know, you never felt like you were quite in control. Yeah.
Well, see, because I had that bug, didn't I?
So God, you did, didn't you?
I was really liking it. That was if it was shit, I would have gone, wow, thank God for that. But I was genuinely enjoying it on PS4, and
I mean, the first one, a lot of it, like, some of the enemies were just too quick for that battle system, that combat system. Like, so sometimes you're in the middle of a swing, and no matter what you do, you're always too late. You know, you were getting hit before you were even sort of halfway through a swing, and it was frustrating for stuff like that. And some of the enemy placements, especially towards the end, were just brutal. Like, you know, you were well away from your last checkpoint. I forget what they're called now. But basically, like, your bonfire, the Surge's version of the bonfire.
Bonfire equivalent.
Yeah, you were well away from that, and, you know, you just get ambushed, and you've lost all your tech, and it takes ages to get back, and you've only got, like, 2 minutes to find it before it disappears.
In the first game, right, because what I did pick up on in the preview build is, like, you know, the one thing I never liked about it is that when you die, like in any Souls game, you lose your currency.
Yeah.
But in the Surge 1 and 2, you have like a time limit after you, I don't know, respawn, I suppose, to get it back. But in the Surge 2, I believe that if you kill people, it actually extends the time.
It adds time, yeah.
Was that in the first one?
I don't think it was, but it's been a while since I played it, so
same. Yeah,
I can't remember. I don't think it was in Lords of the Fallen, because I remember that had the same idea. You had a set amount of time, but I don't remember that. But again, it's been a long time since I played it. But
like this is a Focus Home Interactive published game, right?
Yeah.
And so is the game we talked about a little while ago, the Asobo game, you know, Plague Tale. And something I was thinking about, that I was trying to work out why when I was playing, again, my impressions of previews sort of build, but what it felt like, the Surge always felt like someone else doing a Souls game, right? As do a lot of them. They feel like someone else kind of trying to take on the masters,
definitely,
if you like. But the Surge 2, what I played of it, felt, and I don't know if this is the case, I just don't know if you felt the same way. It kind of felt bigger budget. It kind of felt...
It looks bigger budget.
It does, right? It looks like there's more... The scale seems large. Like when you know, I did play enough of the preview to get outside, and I was kind of like, oh... Like, I don't ever remember seeing a skybox in the first game. You did go outside.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
but you never really... It didn't seem... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were always still in that cryo facility in the first one. So even when you were outside, you were in like a yard, basically. I can't think of like trash heaps and stuff like that. And it's just like you'd see bits of the sky and kind of glimpses of beyond, but nothing major. Whereas this one is... It has that kind of oblivion moment, doesn't it? Where you go outside for the first time, like, shit, there's this massive city, and you've got this massive wall around it as well, and some weird, like, vortex in the sky, and you're just like, what the hell have I stepped into? You know,
it feels, again... I wonder. I need to play it. I've got it on Xbox One X. I need to have a look at it, because I really want to know if the difference for me, because it felt so much quicker, and more responsive. But again, the preview build was PC, and you reviewed on PC, so we can't really come to any conclusion. But I really want to play the console version to know if it actually does. But then saying that, didn't you review the first one? Who reviewed the first one?
I did, yeah.
Was that a PC game then?
No, I reviewed it. I think it was PS4.
PS4, yeah. But so you're in the same you can't really be sure either way either, can you? But it definitely feels more responsive to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was so much better just in general, and the combat felt a lot more responsive, like to the point where I was actually using the parry system in this one.
Okay.
Whereas I don't even remember really learning how to do it at all in the first game. It felt like it was a bit too awkward, whereas this one, I think because the combat is a lot tighter and a lot more responsive, even a bit more... I don't know, a bit more predictable in some ways. You know, like the same way the Dark Souls games are, where it's like, oh, I know to press the parry button when they move in. You know, they start this attack, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So it makes it kind of telegraphs it a bit better. So, I mean, some of the attacks, so you have to be really on it to get the parry right. But a lot of the time, because it's directional as well, you have to kind of be, you know, oh, he's going for an overhead, so I need to use up. You know, when you do it. So, and it's great when you get on a boss. Like the first time I parried a boss, I was like, yes, you know,
yeah.
Because there's some with like some of the big bosses, you have to parry them multiple times before it'll actually work.
When you say you have to, like, could you kill a boss without parrying them?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Because I that would if I have to parry, I'm not saying I don't want to. I desperately do. Because like you say, when you do it, it feels like nothing else.
I'd say if it feels like Bloodborne in that respect, because it's like...
So I finished Bloodborne multiple times and I've never I never mastered parrying.
Yeah,
never.
I mean, I'm not saying you master it, but it's like, you know, when you can fight a boss entirely, normally just smacking them about kind of thing.
Okay.
But there's like benefits to if you learn how to parry, you know, so you can take them down that little bit easier if you learn their attack patterns a bit better, so you can parry that kind of thing. So, like, for example, Bloodborne, I think the first time I played it, I didn't finish it the first time. Obviously, it was the second when I went through it. But Gascoigne, that battle was so much of a bastard because I couldn't parry. Like, I couldn't get the timing right at all.
Yeah,
whereas,
I mean, the one people usually talk about is the Bloodstarved Beast, I think.
Yeah.
As being a really difficult one, but it's quite easy to cheese with the... what are they called? Like the bags of blood you throw. Oh, wow. One of my favourite games of all time, and I can't think of them. But yeah, I know what you mean. Gascoigne can be made a lot easier with a good parry.
Yeah, when I went in the next time, I used the parry system. I wasn't perfect or anything like that, but I hit it more often than not, and I beat him like no trouble. So it's the same in the Surge, where it's like there was one boss that I was fighting, and it was a 3-parter as well, which was an absolute bastard. And it took me quite a while just to get through the first part, because I was just trying to learn how to do it, try to learn its patterns. And eventually, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try the parry. And you've got like the implant that tells you where to parry, like what direction. So I learned it from that, then eventually went back without that implant so I could put in something better.
It feels... Oh, sorry, I should say it felt less... The thing about the Surge was, like, obviously Bloodborne is one of my favourites of... Well, it is my favourite one of that genre.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt about it. Bloodborne is a dark game,
definitely.
It's, Adam Carroll, you liked Bloodborne, you're into your horror. This is that kind of gothic, The Surge 1 always felt kind of like it was sort of a horror game because of what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the Surge 2 being brighter and more colourful, generally, I think it made me feel not more comfortable because it was tougher, but... Do you know what I mean?
It's like Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Yes.
So like Dark Souls, you're out and about in the daylight and stuff a bit more, whereas Bloodborne, you're always in the dark, more or less. So yeah, it's a similar kind of thing. And I mean, I think the world feels more like the first game felt like they were trying to build something, but they were always held back a bit, either by the budget or by trying too hard to kind of be a Dark Souls game. I'm not sure, like that sort of thing. Whereas this one, it feels like almost they've been set free a little bit, and they've learned obviously from the mistakes of the first game, or just in general, they've learned a bit more about how to make this kind of game, make it more playable, and you feel that. And when you're going around the world, especially with there's like loads of NPCs in this one as well, there's more of a proper story. It feels like there's something bigger behind it all, and it feels like if they do a Surge 3, I'd be there straight away.
I mean, I'll have to play this one first, but before I forget, I did quickly look it up. This is from windowscentral.com, so obviously this is a sort of Xbox, more Microsoft.
Yes.
Not biased. That's not. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Site.
Yeah.
They say the Surge 2, and I've seen a couple of videos. It doesn't look great on Xbox. The Surge 2 doesn't look as good as its predecessor, unfortunately. This issue seems to be related to its lighting and resolution. Okay. Even on Xbox One X, it's a little jaggy on quality mode. However, if you change it to performance mode, then everything gets worse. So obviously, quality is for the resolution. It does say that luckily the performance is stable whether you're playing at 30 or 60 frames per second, which suggests to me that performance mode might push it to 60, which is great.
I think I did a news post for it, where it basically was a case of PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Yep. You've got the 30 or 60. 1080.
So that's interesting to me, because often with Xbox One X, I don't know if you, I mean, I know you've got one, but I don't know if you knew this. Often they don't have the option.
Yep.
They tend to favour resolution.
Yes.
Which bugs. I mean, some people that's great. They want it to look the best, but I want the frame rate. So it always bugs me when they, because of the power of the console, they want to show you the 4K-ness.
Yeah.
To me, it's like when you get a game like Gears 5, which does both, and you're like, oh wow. But it also, I mean, tangent perhaps, but it also makes me look at it and go, because again, you're playing on a 4K TV with HDR. Like Gears 5 is a masterclass of visuals.
Phenomenal.
Like it doesn't drop a frame that I've noticed. So it can be done. You know what I mean? Without a game looking crap. It doesn't have to have bad art. Like it looks amazing. So it can be done on that Xbox One X.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the Surge 2, there's you can go and watch the review, you can read the review. We do both now, so you can choose. But 8 out of 10? Was it 8 out of 10?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I gave the first one a 7, I think.
7, yeah. And it did seem, but yeah, to what I played of it, I do want to find time, but
it's so hard at this time of year.
Because it's not a short game, and you get that feeling of a game where it's like, oh, is this going to be one of the casualties?
Yeah.
This one, the next one we're going to talk about isn't, although we'll get to why, but Code Vein, I haven't played as much as Mick, obviously, who reviewed it, also got an 8 out of 10, and as I say, there is a video that asks, that helps you out if you're not sure which of these new Souls-likes to buy. Code Vein it's very much like what you'd expect. It is anime vampire Dark Souls, okay? Yeah. And because it's by Bandai Namco, to me, if you were the cynic, you would go, oh, FromSoft have said they don't want to make any more Souls, so Namco have just gone, we'll do it then. But From are doing that Elden Ring game, which is under Bandai Namco. So it almost actually feels like a kind of, fine, we'll do it, you know what I mean? Rather than, oh, fine, we'll do it then. Because there's so much of the Souls about Code Vein, like the lore of the items and like the systems upon systems and the leveling up that makes you the stats screens where you see your numbers go up and if you put this cloak on or this coat on, it changes that stat, but you're more resistant to poison now, but you're weaker to slash attacks. It's that much Souls. But it also has a proper tutorial and it has a full-on story. Like, we're talking lengthy cutscenes, anime cutscenes, that there's no, oh, listen, you're going to have to work the story out via lore. This is a game that's like, we're just going to tell you what happened and where we are in the world, and you're going to know what's going on in the story because we're going to tell you with cutscenes. It's an anime, which is kind of weirdly refreshing, because it makes you feel like you're not playing one of those games. Yeah, it makes you feel like you're playing more of a sort of hack and slasher. And on top of that, what also makes you feel like that is they've taken the attack buttons and put them back on the face. So it's square and triangle for heavy and light.
Okay.
And, like a DMC or something. So instead of the Surge, which is, again, shoulder buttons, like the Souls games, that's where this came from. And when I first played them, I'm like, oh, really? Because, you think about all the history of DMC and even Bayonetta, that it's on the face. It's the buttons on the controller. So when they moved to the shoulder buttons and the triggers for, like, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, you're like, oh, okay. But now it actually feels weird going back the other way, but it also makes that game feel quite fluid, because it's kind of taking one of the Souls genre, but giving you the way to control it that's more like a sort of, action hack and slasher. The problem is, I found so far the difficulty is a little bit all over the place. Like, the game actually, for the first 3, maybe 4 hours, I thought, wow, this is got all the things I like about Dark Souls. They've added a story, and it's also, I'm not going to say easy, but like, I didn't die once going through, like, so you do the first area and it's a tutorial and there's a boss after that, and I didn't die in the second area at all. I came close, but I never really lost control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was kind of a nice feeling, and it made me realise these games don't have to be difficult all the time. Then I hit the boss, and so one of the things about this game is that you have a buddy with you. You can take a partner with you, and one of them could be like a heavy sword guy, or one of them could be a ranged attacker. And I'd taken, I think his name's Yakumo or Yakumi, something like that. And he's like a beast. He just sometimes he kills enemies before I get to him. He's a proper dude. Until the boss fight, and he's just useless. The only thing he's good at is picking you up when you go down. Because if you die, if he's alive, he can actually resurrect you quickly, and he can keep you going. But the thing about the boss was, this is what I was alluding to earlier. I came across the Souls boss thing, but it didn't feel right given the balance of difficulty. It felt like I was pushing, it required concentration.
Yeah.
But this boss, I just didn't feel, and I'd actually over-leveled, I thought. I mean, I was like level 35 or something. This is the second boss. So I felt like I was, but also the scaling felt like the enemies were scaling with me. I'm not sure if that's the case. If they are, that's pointless. If you're going to have enemies scale with you, there's no point in
you
being
might as
levels.
well not level, yeah.
Yeah, because the point of scaling is you go back to the... But it seems more like they scale within an area. Like, I wonder if I went back to the first area, they'd be cannon fodder. But this boss kept doing homing attacks, and it felt like the hitbox, my hitbox was so huge. Like, she would do this... It's like a waterish boss. She comes out and she's like, she can pole dance on, spinning round, attack on a pole, and then she sort of does like a missile where she homes all of her. She just zooms at you and then zooms back, and the hitbox for that felt like a few times I was like, wow, I don't feel like that should have touched me there. And it was one of those things where, when you get a boss like that, you just keep going back, and every time you think, no, this is the one, and then you're just getting slowly worse and worse and worse to the point where you're like, I've done it. And that's where I left it. I sort of switched, I ended up going back to your home hub, and I spoke to Mick, and he actually suggested taking a character that can do ranged attacks, and I would like to go back because I was really, really enjoying it up to that point. Really, really enjoying it.
That's interesting because... I don't know what it is, but this game just does not seem to... There's not a bit of it that does anything for me by the look of it. I like even when I see the Surge 2, I'm kind of going, oh, this looks cool for this style of game, and it's popping out with the colours. And I've always said as well, not to go back on the Surge 2 as such, but I always thought the limbs situation in that was something
that's cool.
That was something new and different with the genre. Code Vein, I don't know what the fucking purpose of it is. It just feels like this game. I could be completely wrong, but to me, and just only me, I'm saying this, that I feel as if the game is existing solely for people who like that kind of game, and that's that. And I don't even think it looks that amazing.
It looks like an anime, which is.
But at the same time,
I like anime. I like Dragon Ball. I like that.
But it's not as bright as that.
No, it's definitely not. It has its moments. I mean, it's about vampires, and essentially, there's some. I mean, I read it for the video review, and I played it, but I didn't. It didn't sink in. Basically, you're vampires that you need to obviously suck blood to absorb blood to not go into frenzy, and frenzy's bad and stuff. But it does itself no favors, because if you hadn't played a Souls game before, but you were into kind of the look, and you were into the anime stuff, and the systems, it does that Souls thing of everything's got a name, whereas really all they're trying to say is, right, this is your equipment, that's your skill points, you level up, you use your currency to buy more skills, and you can level the skills up, but sometimes you've got to have 2 items and some currency to unlock the higher level. But it's like, I couldn't even tell you what they're called right now, but you can switch class on the fly. Okay, they're called blood codes, I think, and this is the big thing in the middle of your inventory that you can change. You find, I mean, let's say second boss, I've got 9 different codes, and every one of those codes has got like passive skills. So, for example, your base brawler, one of his passive is to give you more health. Great. Brilliant. Most of them have that passive, but then they have other ones like the brawler. Well, I can't even remember specifics, but one of them you can do this attack where you go into like a blood mist and then you appear behind them and do like a combo. There are all sorts of stuff like that. Some of them you can just use whichever class you are. Some of them you can't. I have no idea why that is. I have no clue as to why some classes can equip these skills, passive or non. Passive or active, sorry, and some can't. I just don't know why, and I don't feel the menus explain why, and I feel like I'm stupid because I've missed it, but it does itself no favours like that because it's so complex, but it's also not really. When you actually understand it, it's all kind of pretty simple stuff, but it's all obfuscated by language and
it's like, stop trying to give everything a name and just tell me what it does, basically.
I understand they want to call it, the blood code. I get it, it's vampires and that, but blood code is, that translation is class. That's what class you're playing as. And you can switch on the fly, and you can have loadouts. So you've got one that's like your berserker class, one's a brawler, one's a magic caster, but they're not called that. Some of them are. Some of them are simple. Some of them aren't. Some of them are based on stealth. And the combat is quite satisfying, actually. But then again, like, what would you call the move where you sneak up behind them and you can do like a visceral attack? I mean, what would that move be?
Backstab.
A backstab, I suppose. Yeah, like that. Of all things, the window for that is really finicky. I sound like I don't like it. I actually really like it. But as I say, the boss soured me because it didn't at all feel like the difficulty was well balanced. And I'm normally one that I'm able to sit back and go, okay, I just need to calm down. But this one, it genuinely, to me, didn't feel like the balance of what I had played fit with the balance. And the other thing as well, this game, whereas I think in the Souls games, each area kind of leads up to a boss, and then it's this big, dramatic, almost theatrical moment.
Yeah.
In Code Vein so far, for me, the bosses are kind of just there. Like, you get to the middle of this massive area, and you're like, oh, boss is going to happen here, and there's a cutscene, and you're like, oh, carry on. Okay, so I'll carry on. Then you get to the end of this place, and it's like, there's a boss battle. And you're like, oh, here? Okay, fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, in some ways, that's good, because it means the bosses aren't the focus. But yeah, again, 2 bosses in, I'm nowhere. But by the time this is aired, this podcast, people will have finished it twice, I expect. So, but Code Vein, I would say go
game, they will.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll sit there and play it all day long.
But the thing is, for me, is where I think some people would almost argue the Surge 2 is too hard. There are parts of Code Vein where I think the criticism it will receive from Souls veterans who love it, that there are parts of it that are too easy. But I kind of like that. I kind of like that we're at a place now where you can compare them, of course you can, and how could you not? Your games will be, first-person shooter games will be compared to Half-Life, to Doom. They're the best in genre, and the Dark Souls or Bloodborne, that's the same thing. But we are now at a point where I feel like the genre's got broad enough that both these games can exist, be a part of a genre, but also be quite different, really.
Yeah. I'm happy to have more of these games, and it's good when they do something a little different. I mean, that was one of the things I think I said in the review for the Surge 2, is that what they did with that series is try to do something a bit different. It's not a fantasy, it's a sci-fi, and that alone makes it quite different from any other in the series. In the genre, I should say. So Code Vein is sort of doing something similar. It's like, it's still got that fantasy sort of element to it, but just the anime style in itself changes it. And there's no reason why you can't have more of these games.
Well, what's going to be interesting in the end of the year is when Star Wars comes out, because of what I have seen of that game certainly looks Souls adjacent.
I was thinking that when I watched that new trailer, I was like, the way this combat works, it looks an awful lot like the Souls style.
It'd certainly be interesting to see if it is. Let's talk about racing games. We've got 2 of them here. We've got 2. This is perfect, really. 2 very different arcade-ish racing games. I don't know. Gaz, it's weird because I'm going to say to you, you've been playing GRiD, and people are going to go, yeah, well, we know he is. The review went up the other day. We saw it, the Switch version. It looks really good. No. That's not what you're talking about.
No, it's not.
Go on, then.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've played this before back in, I want to say June, was it?
Summer. I'll just say summer.
Yeah, summer, when I went to Codemasters and Leamington Spa and played a bit of GRiD. This is more...
Sorry, before we gloss over that, I don't think we talked about that much at the time. Was that kind of like a pilgrimage, almost? Because obviously you're a big sort of fan of racing games, and Codemasters synonymous. Like, was that... That must have been kind of cool.
It was good. It was cool. The only downside being that it was just in terms of the timing with my travel and stuff, I didn't get much time to see anything properly. Because it was...
Yeah, you weren't touring the offices.
No, because I mean, it was cool when I got... Because when you get there, they've got like... In the reception, they've got a couple of pods there for people to sit and play. I think they had F1 on at the time, with the wheels and everything. That was quite cool. And then you go a little bit further in and you've got like racing drivers' helmets and stuff like that all over. You know, it's almost like a little museum there. It's quite cool.
But what game are we talking about then? The game that you saw then and the game that you have played a lot more of now?
It is one of those kind of confusing ones, isn't it? Because it's just called GRiD. And
that's
people
what I was trying to get you to say, so I didn't have to be wrong. Is it just called GRiD?
It is, yeah. I think that's it, because people just, like, they call race driver GRiD. So that it's like, it's a reboot sort of thing. It's one of those quite weird ones because it's a racing series, so it doesn't really need sequels or reboots or anything. They're all just different. But yeah, I mean, this is like a full-blown racing game with like street racing and circuit racing, all real cars, and it's like proper events. Like it's realistic, but it's also arcadey. It's kind of depending on... I suppose it depends on who's playing it, because you know if you tweak the difficulty and the bloody hell, mine's gone blank. Like your assists and stuff like that, you can tweak them to the point where you can basically play it like a Project Gotham or something like that if you want. To the point where you even get bonus XP and stuff for drifting, things like that. Because as you're driving along, I mean, you see this in the video. It's like you're getting points for getting the right line in a corner, or for drifting, or for like an overtake, drafting, all this kind of thing. You're always getting points. You can turn that off if you want. So you're earning them, but you're not seeing the pop up for anyone who wants a more, I don't know, like a streamlined racer. But I mean, obviously this is just preview. But I really enjoyed what I played of it. The visual step up was quite impressive. Like, I played it it was on an Xbox One S, back in Leamington Spa. And it looked good, but you could tell it wasn't done, you know. I mean, it's months ago, so why not, you know, why would it be done? Whereas this one is more or less final code, or thereabouts. And you can tell the difference in the visuals, it looks, but I mean, bear in mind, I am on PC, and it was like I had it run at 1080p on like high settings, and it was around about 60 frames. It looked really nice. It was nice and smooth. And yeah, I mean, it's just so much fun to drive, because you get the whole thing of, you know, you can race like a proper racer. You know, you can get all your braking zones right and things like that. But it's always made to be just that little bit more exciting. So, because I mean, most people think of motor racing, they think of something like F1, and they just get bored because it's like, oh, it's just round in circles for 2 hours, and it's all based on a pit stop or that kind of thing. People tend to see it as a bit boring. There's not much happening, whereas there's always something going on. Like, one of the things they stressed in sort of like the preview stuff was it's not just you racing all the AI like it tends to be in most of these games. You can always see the AI racing against each other. They're all going like hammer and tongs at trying to get like overtakes and stuff like that, to the point that they'll get distracted with each other and you can get in an overtake for both of them. It's quite cool, quite interesting to see. But all the time something's happening, and you've got your teammate as well, which you always have, which you can change as you unlock new drivers as you progress in the career mode. And each one has got their own strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. Where the first one you have is crap. He's useless. Basically, he can't win anything. Whereas, like, the others are a little bit better. They've all got the better like disciplines as well. Like, some are better in like your touring cars, some are better in the GT cars or the tuner class, that kind of thing. The second one I had, I think I even said it in the preview. Basically, she was a beast. Like, she could win races, or when I was winning, she was second place. She was always up at the top. But she didn't like it if you like hit her car in any way. Like, she got mad.
What a weirdo.
No, it's like, obviously, sometimes you're going for an overtake. Yeah, there's a little bit of a tap or something. It happens in this kind of racing. And this game's got the Nemesis system where if you hit someone a few too many times, that kind of thing, they get annoyed, and essentially then their race becomes about beating you. And, it doesn't matter about where else they get in the race as long as they beat you. And yeah, every time, like, I'd go for an overtake, and she even if she turned in a bit and hit me, it was suddenly like, no, she's mad. She's mad again. I'm gonna have to stay clear of her. But I mean, it's just for that race. At least it doesn't affect anything beyond that. It's just, tempers flare in a race kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I got the same sort of feeling in this as I did when playing Forza Horizon 4. It was fun, it was exciting, there was always something to do, and the cars were all cool. You can even do your own like paint jobs and stuff on this as well, to the point where I think I did it for some of the video as well, where I put them in God is a Geek colours. Or like they're featured.
I wish I'd known that, because I put the video together and I can't remember if I used all of the clips from everything you did, so it must be in there.
Like I think
say you can read Gary's thoughts by now. Well, if you're a Patreon, you've already seen the video, but that preview will be up by the time people listen to this on Wednesday. So yeah.
Yeah,
but you're enjoying it a lot so far, in a preview sense.
Definitely, in a preview sense. There were some issues which I've outlined in what I wrote, so people can read that. But indeed. Yeah, I mean, if those are sorted for launch, this, I've got high hopes. But again, we've got to wait and see with that. But I'm impressed with what I've seen so far.
That's a perfect segue, because I'm sure that Adam Carroll is really impressed with what he's seen so far with Mario Kart Tour. Why are you laughing? I don't understand. What's funny about that? It's Nintendo. Nintendo seal of quality, Adam.
Before we start, like, is this like an endless runner style, or is this a Mario Kart game? Is it just a standard Mario Kart?
This is a Mario Kart game. Okay. Let's get the good. Let's get the good out of the way. Okay, first.
That shouldn't take too long. Go on.
Okay.
So I've heard. I haven't played it. So
So I've played a good few races of this now, and like, I'll be honest, it's been a weird lead up to this, because I feel like on paper Mario Kart on the go, pretty much on your phone, is something that is like, okay, that's interesting, but let's see how it works. Like, but then all of a sudden I was sitting there, as a recording, like the day it came out, I which was yesterday. I went, oh shit, Mario Kart Tour, so let's go for it. No, I thought, and I don't know why I thought this, but I thought the game I was going to have to hold my phone sideways.
Can you not? Because I saw my son playing this on his iPad in portrait mode. Can you not turn it landscape mode then?
Not that I know of, and I could be completely wrong there. I didn't attempt it. All I know is...
How do you drive then?
It automatically drives.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yep. So there was a Forza game that did that, and it was alright, but
Was that Forza Street? Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't play that, but...
I played it on PC. Yeah, so you just turned, do you?
I know. So let's 2 seconds right now. Okay. Visually, on point. I think it looks great. Everything is the tracks look great and all that jazz, right? That's fantastic. Logging in, getting a race going, no problem at all. Like, it just connects really fast. You're in, you're racing, it's good. All solid there. Fantastic. But as soon as it started, I was like, oh shit, okay, what's going on? Here we go. You can do your usual, like, when it hits like 3, 2, you hold down on the screen of your phone to get the wheels spinning, to get the boost. As soon as you get the boost, all you have to do from there on is swipe either right if you're going right.
Swipe.
Yes. You're swiping left and right.
This is sounding more like one of those... You remember those old digital games where you just sort of... It's like LCD, and you just press left or right to get on a different lane.
Yeah.
That's what this is sounding like.
So, like, do you know how they did Super Mario Run? And it was just like, Mario's just running and you just tap and he jumps and all that jazz.
Yeah.
That is kind of what I think Nintendo are trying to do with every mobile game from here on. Is that they just want you to casually be... I think they're designing these games in ways for people to just, like, if they're coming home from work and they are on the tube or on the train and they're standing and they just have one hand on the rail and they can just use the other hand to play these things. That is what I think they're trying to go for. Because, look, it's not to say that this doesn't work, but it just doesn't feel exciting. And
I thought for a minute you were going to say, but it just doesn't work.
No, because it just takes a bit of getting used to, and it's in that way that's odd because we've played enough Mario Kart. We've like Mario Kart 8
we were talking. We still want DLC for 8. We still want another track back.
That's the fucking thing. That's the thing that really gets on my.
So what are the tracks in this? Are these new?
I don't know because.
Oh, that's good.
And I'll get to that now in a second. But like the control, so if you're going right, you swipe right, and instantly it will the cart will jump into your standard turning. But if you really keep holding on the same swipe, whatever direction you're going, then it goes into its drift boost. And it's really odd because say if you take that really if you take a turn really awkwardly and you're going to go off track or something, you can kind of swipe the opposite way to kind of drag your cart back into place. Do you know how you'd play Mario Kart with the analogs?
You're making me sad, man.
Yeah, and it feels awkward and it feels weird. But the weirdest thing of all, I played straight on 150cc, okay? And I thought, like, is there something going on with this? Or because this seems like something that should be on 50cc. Not once does your cart go off track.
Okay.
It just bounces off the side. Like, so you don't, like, I didn't drive into any green. I didn't fall off, like, edges. Like, it's really odd. It's all about just keeping your momentum going. You have your items and all that jazz, and to use the items, you either swipe up or swipe down to shoot it behind you. And, like, it's like, okay, cool. But then the difficulty is odd because I'm playing online, obviously, and I was winning races. And I'm not saying that in like, I'm saying that out of pure like, is this a thing that everyone is finding awkward to kind of understand or get down because of like the control scheme or something? Because I was winning races and I was a bit like, yeah, that's odd that I won like 4 races in a row, came first and stuff, and like you're playing a load of people from like Japan and stuff, and like, do you know, if you go on Mario Kart 8 like online, you kind of can get your ass handed to you very quickly, do you know? And it's kind of odd that this wasn't the case. But then you got the subscription fee, which is the gold pass that offers you new items for I don't know what they do. You get gold carts and gold badges and all this kind of stuff. But then the most baffling thing of all is it also then unlocks 200cc. But the problem here then is that it's $4.99 a month.
So the same price as Apple Arcade then?
Exactly. Why?
And just for the record, like, I don't want to go on about this game, but play Grindstone. Play Grindstone, please. Oh okay. My god, it's the Cappy game.
Oh yeah.
It's just very briefly, like another week of Apple Arcade. It is amazing seeing what developers are making when they know they haven't got to put something in there that people have to pay for. Do you know what I mean? Like when you get a match 3 game, you have to put a mechanic in there that somehow makes people pour money into it, like Mario Kart's done.
Yeah.
They've put that there because you can't just have a free download. The fact that people like Cappy or Us 2 are making these games, that they know they haven't got to sort of, I don't know a nice way of putting it, but force microtransactions into. That's the reason these games are all like the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
And like Grindstone, I am playing. It's so good. But yeah, sorry, Mario Kart.
So you got the $4.99 charge, and then you got that Apple Arcade that's just like out there, and people are very happy with. Like, I just don't understand why
a Mario Kart game on OS should be the kind of quality that you would get that goes into Apple Arcade.
Yeah, like the way I look at it is, it would have been better for Nintendo to have released this game for like €10, pounds, or dollars, or whatever.
This is what people said about the other games like Mario Run.
Yeah, and just have a full kind of package. Like, it doesn't have to be like the biggest, like most content thing ever, but you know, it's a Mario Kart game on your phone for $10, and it's like you can do exactly the same. It's the same formula, all that jazz, with maybe a couple of new trinkets here and there, and that would have been kind of like fine. But like, I'm not going to pay $5 a month for a game that I adore Nintendo and I adore Mario Kart, but I'm not going to pay $5 a month for a game that I'm unsure about regarding its control scheme.
Not when you've got a Switch and you could just pull it out and play
Mario
Kart 8.
Exactly, and it just feels like it doesn't feel as exciting. Like, honestly,
it's an odd time to put it out with the Switch Lite, because you know, obviously the Switch people talk about it's portable, but the Switch Lite is super portable. It's even smaller. You don't think it's an odd time to put this out after the Switch Lite?
Yeah, completely. But on top of that, like, and this is kind of a bizarre thing to say, I guess, because of the time frame between the two games, but like with Nintendo even wanting people to buy a Switch and all that jazz, as you just said, Switch Lite, then wanting to have people subscribe to the Nintendo Online, but then announcing like the SNES collection of games that has Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Do you know, I know the time frame is different, but you would have more fun, and then you've also a load of other games. It's just kind of really weird. I don't see how I can't see people who don't play Mario Kart would play this and go, oh, this is amazing.
Do you know who I think this is aimed at? This is aimed at people my age that played the original, but this is aimed at people my age who didn't carry on playing games.
Yeah.
So whereas other people, they fell away from games and they'll always say, oh yeah, I loved Mario Kart when I was a kid. They do have smartphones, and they're important business people at meetings, or you know, and they do have a smartphone, and they see, oh, Mario Kart, so, oh yeah, that is who I think this is aimed at. I saw my son playing it, but I haven't seen him see it, you know, since. It was just that launch day thing.
Yeah, and it like, as I said, there's a lot of stuff within it. Like, you know, when you finish a race, there's a lot of like just XP thrown at you, and you're just given these items and new bits and bobs, and you're leveling up, and it's kind of like the more you use a certain character, the better and faster you become. And like if you go on Mario Kart 8 and you attach a certain glider, it gives you like, you know, maybe more speed or whatever. In this, it's like it would give you more perks to getting like better items and all. So it's kind of a bit like, why would you throw these kind of things in this version and not throw it in an actual Mario Kart? But then, as you said, as we said at the very beginning here, why don't they just give us new fucking tracks on 8?
I think there will be. I think we mentioned this last week, like, you know, how we went from like Zelda and Mario in the first year, then this third year we've had Zelda and Mario. I think next year could be something like that. I part of me wonders if they're going to do an F-Zero.
But maybe, but man, I just don't think that would sell as much.
No, it definitely wouldn't, and that's why we haven't had one yet. But yeah, just part of me. Do you know what I mean?
But that's what my fear is regarding this. Like, obviously, none of us know how Nintendo are when they come like to deliver something like this.
No, but Mario Kart tends to sell exceptionally well. 7 was the DS one, wasn't it? And that was it. The DS? That was DS, wasn't it?
7 was DS, yeah.
Yeah, and that sold like absurd. I mean, I probably could find it, but that game continued to sell like forever.
But how much? You know, like, how much do you think Nintendo are genuinely looking at like how this will do, and then making the deciding factor of whether people still care about Mario Kart or not, and going forward for the future?
I don't think at all. I mean, listen, I've just googled it, and here's the stat for you. In the last financial year, this is from April 2019. It has been revealed Mario Kart 7. So the 3DS one, or the DS one, shifted 1.21 million units, which takes it up to a total lifetime sales of 18.26 million. I don't think there's any fear of Mario Kart.
Yeah. But it's not the same.
March 2019, the game had Mario Kart 8. This is now sold over 8.44 million copies.
Yeah.
That's on Wii U. That's before it came to Switch.
That
sales figure.
Like, we all know we want like extra tracks and all that kind of stuff, and I don't want to say that this isn't shit. It isn't shit. Like,
okay,
the Gold Pass idea is shit, and that kind of thing is just there, and I'm not going near it. Will it keep my attention, and will I go back to it? Probably not.
Sorry, I've just read how much Mario Kart 8 on Switch has sold.
How much?
Fucking hell, that can't be real. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch, as of June the 30th, would you like to guess?
Oh, Jesus, no.
17.89 million. It's the best-selling Switch game.
I believe it, because every single person...
So that's why we aren't getting more tracks, and that's why we aren't getting Mario Kart 9. Because and it's the same story with 7, but 7, Jesus Christ, that's like a year and a half of fucking...
Well, every single
person...
person...
We're not getting 9 for a long time.
Yeah, but because I believe that figure, because every single time I'd see someone online saying, "Finally bought a Switch," they'll take a picture. Mario Kart is just lying on top of that box. So
but it's just so accessible.
Of course.
It's got that auto drive mode.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. It has got that in Mario Kart 8, where you just have to, it will accelerate and decelerate for you. Listen, Adam, I don't want the only game you bring to us this week to be a negative. Can you pluck something out? I don't know. Can you? Wake up, Adam. Wake up.
Well, listen.
Sorry. I can only apologise, really.
So, Link's Awakening.
Let's
just go into it for a brief bit. I'm gonna Link's Awakening is in my top 5 Zeldas of all time, and that's that. Okay,
same. Top 3 for me.
It's an incredible game. This version, like, we've all seen how it looks. We've a lot of people have now played it, and there's a few people I know who are experiencing it for the first time, and I think that's amazing. I think if you're experiencing Link's Awakening for the first time in this style,
that's me. I never played it on the Game Boy.
I'm so glad you said that, because I saw your tweet and we discussed it in our Patreon Discord, right? And when in my review I was talking about certain elements of this game that, to me, I'm fine with, and to Adam, he's fine with, but there are elements that I think people playing for the first time might go, about. you've kind of vindicated me. I feel quite pleased with myself, if I'm honest with you. Sorry, Adam, carry on. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that I was stroking my own shaft at this time. Not really, just metaphorically.
But so look, it's great. It's really fucking great.
It's still great.
And I think if you're, as I said, the first time playing it, I'd be really surprised if you didn't enjoy it. And I feel if people are maybe kind of going, yeah, but I'd prefer if they maybe had this or this or this. You cannot forget that this is just a visual change.
Yes, but that's what I meant. Like that's why I say in the review, like level 7 is still bad. It was bad when I played it in 19 and it's bad now. It's still bad because this game is a remake in the same way Shadow of the Colossus is. Like it is.
Yeah, it's a visual
change.
That game,
but
and
better
that's
looking.
That. However, I have to say it, and it breaks my heart. I cannot at all look past the frame rate.
Nope. And you'll get pelters for this. But people saying, I've noticed it, but it's not that bad. It is.
It
is.
I'm sorry. I have a friend who is currently playing it for the first time, and I came up, and he is buzzing with this game, having
Absolutely.
a fantastic time. But I sat down, and he was like, he turned to me, and goes, "You must be loving this, knowing full well that it's my favorite franchise." And I went, I really love it, I do. But I said that frame rate has bummed me out.
It doesn't ruin the game in any way, but you do. For people who are saying, "Oh, it's not that noticeable," it is, and it's sorry,
impossible.
It is. And if it were a PS4 game exclusive or an Xbox One exclusive, there would be articles about that.
Especially if it was an Xbox One exclusive. I think we all know that.
Yeah, we clearly can tell it's very strange, and it has been said already that like the fact that this is a Nintendo title coming out in this way, it's very strange because Nintendo never lack polish. It's always polished.
You know, I think it's not polish. I think it's optimization because what I noticed about it, I don't know if are you guys playing like sort of retail, you know, a cart, or did you buy the download?
I bought a physical.
Okay, so because I reviewed it, it was a download code, and the thing I noticed about it was like 5 gigabytes. Nintendo games generally, first-party exclusives, are quite small. They know how to compress their games. Like I'm thinking of like Mario Odyssey. I think it's like 2 gig or something ridiculous for a game like that. So when I saw that, I sort of went, that's not really that big a game, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not a huge game.
It's a really small game.
Yeah, there's not like there's loads of voice work. There's a fair bit of music, but in terms of assets that build the overall, say, package file, the game.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I thought, that's almost what you'd expect from someone who isn't an expert at optimizing it. And I wonder if it kind of, do you know what I mean? I wonder if that I think it's that.
So, like, the thing is, with the blur effect going around the frame, I'm not a fan, and that really, really distracts me. It genuinely does. I just...
See, I didn't notice it till I'd finished the game, reviewed the game, and I saw a video and it was like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't see that before.
I actually saw it for the first time when it was like the last set of previews were coming out, and I went, what the hell is the blur about? And then when I got the game, I couldn't unsee it, and it seems like
bad.
In my head it almost feels like it gives off that effect where you nearly get a migraine and your eyes get blurry.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah,
I'm just like, what? I can't unsee this. It's really annoying. But I understand the reason behind it, because we all have to remember that when it was on Game Boy, it was just square, and then the camera would obviously like lift towards the next frame, whatever. This is all trying to do that seamless thing, but that's where the frame rate is suffering clearly. But like when people, I've heard across the board saying, "Oh, you don't really notice it doesn't affect your gameplay." Yes, it doesn't affect your gameplay, but you do fucking notice it, and like, you cannot say that you can't, because every single time I had more than 5, like, say, and it always seemed to happen with this enemy, but the hogs with the spears and stuff, like, if I ever had 4 or 5 of them on the screen at once, holy Jesus, I just thought the game was just going to fucking explode or something. It just couldn't handle the chaos almost.
I did find that like that was one game that got my Switch very warm. It was.
My Switch started making a noise.
Yeah, I think you're right about the optimization, because I think it is that. It's like the Switch is working overtime because it's not been optimized well. And
Which is crazy, because in ways the style that they've gone for with this game is not far off from the upcoming like Animal Crossing game in a way.
Oh yeah.
So like, I'm just kind of a bit like, oh fuck, like what's the story here? And like, is it a case of like, does the Switch actually have to have that better processor or something? Is it like, how does this game play on the Lite, for example? Like, is
fine? It's the same. It's exactly the same.
Okay, then I just don't know what the story is, because it does really, really bug me every time I come out and I'm like, oh, there's that big stutter, and then when it gets going I'm like, oh, this is just magic straight away. And
it is still brilliant, I think.
It is still,
well, you know, I don't see a review, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's still an absolutely phenomenal game, but I can't not say that, you know. And I like being a huge fan of Nintendo and just a fan of that franchise. You gotta be honest when it comes to it, you know. And it kind of, in my own head, I'm kind of worried, like, are Nintendo kind of having too much going on in some ways, that they're just like, whoa, let's just do everything, and you know, there's going to be a couple of hiccups on the way, but you know, we're Nintendo, so everyone will still accept these things.
My guess is that because this was known at E3, so my guess is that this showed up, but no one pointed it out until it was a bit too far along. It is surprising, but then Zelda Breath of the Wild had frame rate issues.
Oh, but that only had it really in the Lost Woods, I found.
Oh, I'm not so sure, man.
No,
I remember reviewing that and being in love with it, but
more issues
in moments of explosion and stuff. But to be honest, that game is so much bigger.
Like, that is what I would say is a concession, and I think I wouldn't want that game to be any different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's what I have to pay for, if that's the price to pay to get that game as it is, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, but what killed...
I don't know, just Link's Awakening it's weird, because you look at it and you know, especially if you've played the original, you know from the very first moment how big the game is. So you're like, I don't understand. This doesn't, you know, you've just mentioned one. We have both, all three of us, in fact, have played games on the Switch that push that machine harder.
Yeah, and like my own, the thing that kind of upsets me slightly is that, like, when I was playing Breath of the Wild. When it was out, I was like, oh, wow, the frame rate there in this area is pretty poor, and everyone was saying the exact same thing. They never patched it. They did, but they never improved but it never got all the way there. No, it didn't, and they stopped. They just stopped. They never went any further. They went, we've done it, and it was kind of, it's still there. It's still there. Like, come on now, you know. And I would hate if this game's continued and it wasn't attempted to be fixed. Like, it should be, because it regardless, even, and like, I'm making it sound like it's absolutely atrocious, the frame rate, but it is just a buzzkill, as I said, with Nintendo. But this is still an absolute must-own game. Like,
oh yeah,
and there is people out there also bashing the price of it. And I
don't get that. Sorry.
And I'm just like, what's the problem here? Do you know, like, there's a lot to it. But Gaz, are you enjoying it?
I was.
Get the caravan.
No, it's like, I really enjoyed the gameplay, but there's some of the issues that I have, that because it's a straight remake, some of the stuff is like, it's very old school to the point where I'm like, I can't be bothered with it.
But when you say like, what is it that's old school? Like, what is it that absolutely just doesn't make sense to you in this day and age?
One of the things is the trading stuff, where it's like, you've got to do all this like trading thing, which the game doesn't really tell you about, and it's like,
but that's a big quest.
But it's like, you've got to do all this. The game doesn't tell you that you've got to do this to get a certain item that you need to progress in the main game, and I'm like, I don't.
But that's kind of what Ocarina of Time even did. Like that is just Zelda. That is kind of the whole aspect of, this is an old game.
But in fairness, Ocarina is an old game also.
Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things that I think in 2019, I don't think is acceptable anymore. But, I mean,
Breath of the Wild kind of does it though.
I don't know,
Breath of the Wild is all about, like,
adventure, do it your way.
About this, and like, was saying to them, because I'm genuinely torn, because part of me is really glad that a game exists still that makes you go, fucking figure it out. Go and have an adventure.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think undermines that point a little is that the rest of the game is kind of go and do this dungeon, go and do that dungeon. Okay, it literally says level 3 when you walk in. So it kind of is at odds with itself. And because I know what I'm doing, it's a cop out. The guides for the Game Boy version work for this game. I've said it before. The sort of trading thing is one of those things where I think people who haven't played it will go, what's going on? Like, for example, because Gaz, you must. If I just say the Ghost,
yep.
Now, to someone who has never played that,
yep,
I would imagine that I would sort of look at it and go, sorry, what's going on? And I think you would go, well, I saw that graveyard.
Yeah, that's it. I was kind of lucky in the fact that I'd already seen the places I had to go, so I kind of guessed it. There's some. It kind of tells you almost, like hints at it, so I knew that. But there was another one, basically to get the bird key. Should we say that one? If you that one was like, what the fuck? That was out of nowhere. That one.
Did you get the song from the frog?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, because I forgot about that until I was
further
in. I was like,
that was the thing that I just stumbled on. I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, okay. All right, cool. It's just there is a lot of that in it. There's that kind of I do like a lot of that. I mean, it sounds like I hate the game the way I'm sort of talking, but I really like the game. I just think perhaps, I think I said this in the Discord chat, that I don't know if the classic Zelda style is for me anymore. Maybe it's like, because of stuff like Breath of the Wild, I'm like, I kind of want more of that. I'm not sure I want to go back.
I think in some way, I do get what you mean, and I can imagine it is a lot harder to accept an old school Zelda game without any changes today. I do understand. The only thing it's made me miss, and it's kind of strange considering how much I love Breath of the Wild, but I want dungeons and temples back, and I do. Every time I go into one, I'm like,
I'd even be happy if they found a way to do a third. Obviously, Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds. I'd be happy if they found a way of doing a third one of them somehow.
Yeah,
they found basically keep doing that, but come up with a gimmick for that. Because when you think about it, Link to the Past is just what it is, but Link Between Worlds has the gimmick of the stuff it does different, and then I'd love to see a third one of those.
But look, it's still, everyone should get it. If you've never played it before, if you have played it before, it's a must buy, I think, with Switch.
I kind of want my kids to play it. Do you know what I mean?
Why haven't you made them play it?
Because they showed interest in Breath of the Wild. I forget one. John, my eldest, played it a bit.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see him play this. They did play, before we get to questions, Untitled Goose Game, or as one of the comments on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GodIsAGeek, Metal Goose Solid, which is just, it's pretty brilliant, isn't it?
That's a good one.
I haven't got an awful lot to say about it, but I feel like we should talk about it because it was.
I've got it to play. I've just not played it yet. It's like
on PC, I'm guessing.
Yes, because I've seen like so many just little clips of this. I mean, so many GIFs. They're just all over
that's
Twitter.
What it is.
And I'm like,
that's what the game is. The game is fodder for that.
It just feels like the sort of game that I could just stick on for a few minutes and just chill out, have a laugh.
Yep.
So
it's a stealth game with no penalty for cocking up the stealth. That's all. It is a stealth game. The idea is you sneak around and do goosey things, and it's fun.
What exactly is a goosey thing?
Well, usually it's just trolling.
They're kind of assholes, aren't they?
How many things does a goose do?
It's just one, be an asshole. I suppose two, float. I'm not particularly fond of geese or swans, for the record. I think when you look at a swan, they just walk around with an air of arrogance, like they know they're protected. They know they're protected, and like you tell me you've never looked at a swan and thought, I'd fucking love to uppercut that. And just...
Oh no, there's definitely been occasions where they'd come near me and I'm like, here, you want to piss off?
Yeah, you want to see an uppercut to a swan? Keep coming, mate. Keep coming.
Imagine having a fight with a swan.
The swan would win. Oh my god. Don't bother asking
I've
that
seen
question,
people have
listeners.
fights with swans, and it's not gone well for them.
I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of swans. I mean, geese have never given me any issue, but we all know what they're like. This game proves it. I would still have a good evening out with a goose or a swan far before I'd go anywhere near a pub with a seagull, because those things, me and seagulls, if we're talking birds, it's just not happening.
This has taken a strange turn.
This isn't the time or the place for my seagull.
Well, we are
discussion.
talking about Untitled Goose Game, so
it's a good game.
A strange thing anyway.
It's a good game. I don't know if it will be talked about come the end of the year. It is a game that I think is going to burn very bright for a short time. It's funny, genuinely funny. Like it does surprising things. Like there's a moment, I think I put it in the video review. There's a moment where you can pick up a bottle via your mouth, and you do that, and you think, when I press the honk button, is it going to? And it does. It does. It makes a different noise. Like you can get a walkie-talkie, and you can hide one of them under a table, and then go somewhere else with the other one, and honk into the walkie-talkie and make people jump. You know, it's silly. It's silly and innocent, but it is kind of also a bullying simulator. Like the stuff you do to the young sort of teenager in the second area it's bullying. It's bullying, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. That's Untitled Goose Game. Let's get into listener correspondence. I've been playing other stuff, but I can't talk about any of it, so let's just move on to... In fact, that's the same for all of us. Thomas's question... I nearly said hour. It's not going to be an hour. Thomas at LlamaFluff42 has sent in some questions. I tell you what, there's a couple of crackers, an absolute crackers here this week. He's genuinely excelled, and I challenge any listener listening right now to come up with some questions that come close to. I think 3 of these are top tier listener correspondence. The first of which, I'm just going to explain briefly what this is. Knightmare was a TV show, okay, and in it was in the, I think, late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
It was a kids' TV show where one person had to put on this big helmet that covered up their eyes, and the idea was they were digitally put into a CGI world, and the team had to direct them. They could see they're all around them, and had to direct them through puzzles and areas that would kill them. They had like energy, and there were people. It was one of my favourite kids' TV programs. His question: Knightmare makes a return to TV, and you have to select 2 members of the God is a Geek team to guide you to safely. Who do you pick, and why? Well,
this is a
I'm in a
tough
world,
one.
and someone's telling me what to do.
So you are blindfold. It's essentially who do you trust to guide you through a dangerous world that you can't see? You know, it was a case of they would say, right, take 2 steps forward, 1 to the left, pick up the cheese, put the cheese in your knapsack, take 2 steps to your right. You're going to have to hop over that. There's a hole right in front of you. You're going to have to hop over it. There's a crone on your left. She's trying to sell potions. We can talk to her. Who's the person? Who are the 2 people on the team?
I could tell you who wouldn't be on the team.
Okay, you can, but you still have to tell us who would.
I'd say Mikhail definitely wouldn't.
Yep. Yep. I mean, he's the goose of the team, isn't he?
He is.
He's the troll of the team.
He is the Untitled Goose of God is a Geek.
Yeah, Untitled Goose Mikhail. Mikhail Goose Solid. It's close. It's not far off.
If he ever reviews a Metal Gear Solid game for the site, that has got to be the strap for it. It's got to be.
What, Mikhail Goose Solid?
Mikhail Gear Solid. It's got to be.
You think we're getting more Metal Gear games?
Maybe. I don't know.
PS5 HD collection.
I still don't know why they've not redone 4. I think that would
Xbox. Yeah.
What? Fucking hell.
I'm gonna say I'd pick Mick Fraser because he'd have a good strategy. I think.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
And then if I had to pick a second one, I'd probably go with you, Adam. But the thing about it is, if I'm blindfolded, I think you'd just take the piss out of it and guide me into shitty situations.
You've seen Blindfold Gaming. You're not an idiot.
See, that's the thing. I feel like you just be sitting there going, I'm going to have to just fucking mess with this.
No, but I want to just throw into the mix. Not that I'm pushing myself for the job here, but I want to throw into the mix. I loved that TV show. I bought the book, and in the book, this shouldn't work, but in the book it was like, do you turn left or right? Turn to page 75. Okay. Turn to page 42, and you have to go back and forth. I loved that show. I would take it too serious. I used to play it as a kid. We used to play it, actually play it. We would cover our heads and have us guide each other around our own houses. I'm genuinely serious. There's no one that you would want more in the studio directing you than me, because I would take it. Well, I'd maybe take it too seriously, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my people anyway.
Okay. So who is it? It's me and...
I go with yourself and Mick, but you better not be a prick.
No, I can't promise that. Gaz,
I think Mick Doherty. I think it'd definitely be one. See, part of me wanted to say Nicola, but then I remember some of the shit she did playing Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You're essentially asking who do you want to be your captain to guide your own personal ship, and we've been there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with both Micks. I don't know, Mick Fraser as well.
Why Mick Fraser?
Because again, he knows his shit, and he's got a good voice as well. Yeah, I could listen to his voice.
I would want Mick in with the helmet on, because the guy's built and will take on them skeletons. Like if I'm directing and I say swing a haymaker, I trust that Mick's putting them down in one. So, but I don't have that choice. I'm oh my word. See, do I offend people? I don't want to offend anyone.
Tough. It's going to happen.
I'd say Chris White, because I know him exceptionally well, and he would never want to see harm come to me, and ultimately that's what you're doing.
That's very true.
I think I'm going to go with Mick Fraser as well. He's going to get the hat trick. I think for the same reason, actually.
Yeah.
I just think I think you two would troll me, and I think, in fairness, I would I would totally understand that you would, and I would. Yeah.
I don't think I would, fair. But I'd be tempted to.
Yeah, but that temptation would, even knowing that, would be too much risk. I don't think Mick or Chris would ever even risk, even in a game, seeing me come to harm. I mean, I remember playing Far Cry with Chris, and he was playing the role while I was shooting rockets and trying to jump on him. So maybe I'm the worst choice when it comes to it. But yeah, so we had Mick Fraser's the answer then for everyone. He's just a hat trick of the, he's the guy that he will catch you in a trustful. I think. Yeah, it seems. Cool. This one then. How do you see... I mean, I'm not sure about forthcoming midlife crisis. How do you see your forthcoming midlife crises panning out? Do you think you'll get a sports car, the old Just for Men? I'm well past that. Or something more innocuous like collecting all the consoles from your youth, Adam? You're the youngest here, I think, aren't you?
Yeah. How do I see my midlife crisis panning out? I think I'll probably just have just enough of everything and just want to go into a forest in a cabin.
Yeah, that's me too, I'm afraid. It's not to just copy you. I mean, I can
with a load of consoles.
I can see you with really long hair. Really long hair and like a checked sort of...
Hey,
the beard stays.
I'm alright with that.
Yeah, and you've got the kind of lumberjack look, I think, going on at this point. And you walk around with a bit like Kratos in the God of War, with a shirt on.
Jesus. That's the nicest compliment anyone's ever given me.
Gaz, what about you?
I think I'd just get dogs. I'd just fill my house with dogs.
Why dogs?
And just eat vanilla ice cream for the rest of your life.
Cats look after themselves more than dogs do, mate.
Yeah, but dogs are friendlier. You can trust dogs. Cats are assholes.
Yeah, they are the geeks.
I mean, I like cats. They're all right, but they are assholes.
You're going to let me get away with that comment. They're the geese of the animal world. You're going to let that go. I can see you surrounded by dogs. Any particular breed or just all sorts?
I mean, small dogs mostly, I think.
to make yourself look that bit more mad. Like loads of chihuahuas yapping.
Oh, not chihuahuas. Chihuahuas are bastards.
Okay. Are we talking Jack Russells or?
Jack Russells, maybe a pug or two.
I can see you with a pug with really wonky eyes.
I mean, my friends have got a pug and he's the best.
Pugs are great. I won't hear nothing against them, but let's not pretend they don't look funny.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. So me and Adam are out in our own log cabin somewhere in the woods.
There we go.
Together? What is it? Are you going full Brokeback Mountain?
No. We're at our own cabin, different parts of the world, just away from people.
Oh, why? I didn't fucking agree to that. I'm all right with you sit next to you, like.
No, mate. No, I'm on my own. Sorry, no one.
What? Now and again, you rock up to his house like the stranger and start a big fucking fight.
Actually,
I don't think I will, because it sounds like he's going to a fucking completely different planet.
Yeah,
so that journey is
I'm not technically alone, because I've got one lone gunman on the edge of my property, warding anyone who comes anywhere near it off. He just raises the gun and goes, "Come on, you know what he's like. On your way, lads." Yeah, and they just, yeah. I mean, obviously the wife and kids are with me. I'm not like completely.
I thought she was going to be the gunman.
Well, she could be the gun. Well, she'd be the gun woman, I think.
Well,
in that
yeah,
case, Gaz. But so, Tom, this is totally going on a different tangent. We'll start with you, Gaz. What 3 things would you go back and tell your younger self?
I mean, one of us have got to say it. Like go buy like stocks in Apple or something.
Okay, I actually hadn't thought of that one, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'd definitely go with that one. Don't buy an Xbox One when they come out. That was a mistake.
I don't know. That's kind of the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. That you've got a chance to go back in time and tell yourself 3 things that could change your life, and it's don't buy a launch model. I don't know. I think that's...
I don't know. Start writing earlier.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's better.
Yeah.
Adam.
What 3 things would I go back and tell my younger self? Metallica's Saint Anger album from day one was always shit.
It was, but I mean, why do you need to go back and tell yourself that?
Well, because when I was there, I was like, "Oh, this is unreal." I actually genuinely was believing that Saint Anger was a good album.
No,
I was. I went up and bought it day one, got the bus up to the city, all the works, and went, this is unreal.
You were that one. You were the one then.
I was. Oh, I was there.
I'll be honest, I bought that when it came out as well.
I think a lot of people bought it, but I think most people bought it, played it and went, "This is shit."
Yeah, I mean, I remember going, like, I liked the song Saint Anger.
But the snare drum.
But, I mean, I don't really know music that well, so...
It's the worst.
I mean, I'm not a musician, so I don't hear that.
Worst recorded snare drum.
But, I mean, overall, it was a bad album. It was
shocking.
Bad album.
It was
Have you seen that tweet doing the rounds of that saxophone solo on the vinyl that's playing? Right?
Yeah.
That is better than the sound the snare drum makes on Saint Anger.
Yeah, the best thing that came on Saint Anger was the documentary.
I still haven't seen it.
That is tremendous. But that album was bad, and it always was, even when I was young.
So that's one.
That's one. I really wish I was ahead of the game and started a Pringle sandwich business.
Yep, fair enough.
That's another one. And then 3 would probably be music doesn't really pay anyway unless you sell your soul.
Oh, that's kind of leads into my first one. My first one would be don't stop the band. It's going to get darker, mate. I'll warn you now.
I wasn't expecting it to go that dark.
It's going to get much worse.
But that's the thing.
Listen.
Like, you know, when I was young, I just went music. That's all I want. It's everything. And then it's still everything that I want all the time. But it just, as you get older, you're like, I'm fucking not gaining anything from it. And that's kind of what I thought once you got signed or got a record deal, that was it. And I wish I could have told myself that's not just it.
Yeah.
You have to do so much more. So
I've got 4, but I'm going to have to try and compress into 3. The first one would be don't give up the band. Like, you loved it. The one thing you'll look back on that isn't like properly serious that your miss is playing in a band and being on stage, don't give it up. Don't bother sending the CDs off to record companies. No one's going to be interested. Just do it for you. Go and play, your songs. Go and do that, and go on stage and do that thing, and try never to let that go. Number two would you ask a serious question, you're going to get a serious Adam for a minute. Number two would be to listen to your dad. Spend time with your dad. When he starts talking about all his time in the military, don't just fucking go deaf and not pay any attention, because in time when you're an adult and when you've got kids of your own, you would do anything in the world to be able to have a few minutes to listen to that bullshit, and you'll never have that chance again. I know it's a bit of a downer, but it's true. Like, one of my biggest regrets is that I was a stupid fucking kid, like we all are, and I didn't want to listen to that sort of stuff. And by Christ, what I wouldn't give now to just have an hour listening to him talk about his life, because I'll never get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the third one is kind of linked to that. It's just very simple. You'll be all right. Everything will be all right. Things will get bad. You'll have bad things happen to you. You'll have good things too. You will feel like things aren't going to ever get good, but everyone feels like that, and you'll be okay. It will be okay, young man. And that would genuinely be the third thing I would say. And then I would probably walk into a portal back to now, and they'd just be there looking at what happened, probably sticking his fingers up at me. At him, but an older him with a lot less hair. That's probably the fourth one. Fuck's sake, don't put stupid dye in your hair. Make sure, just try not to have a heart attack, because that way you'll end up on tablets which fuck your hair up as well. Just like, your hair's really good, don't lose that hair. But I can't have four, but there you go. And the last question this week is also from Thomas, and he says, "What are you buying?" from Resident Evil 4. "This turn's finished" from Bloodborne. Often the incidental lines in a game, which are of no importance to the story, are the most memorable. What's your favourite line from a game like that? So, like, when you think about it, Resident Evil 4, I don't think that they would have developed that game and recorded that dialogue and gone, "Oh, that's going to become a meme," because memes didn't exist. What lines are the most memorable for you?
I mean, I think one of the ones for me is, like, it's the Jill sandwich line.
Yep.
From Resident Evil, because I mean, come on, it was ridiculous, but it was 100% Barry Burton. Not lying. That just summed up Barry Burton. That's why he's a legendary character. That didn't get the the love that he deserved. He never got a proper game of his own, which he should have done.
Can I give you just a quick one?
Go on.
And I'm not going to do an impression of it, because I just don't think I should. If you've never heard of it or seen it, look up Tim Curry in Red Alert 3 talking about where he's going to how he's going to go to space, because that's exceptional, isn't it? You've got it now. You know what I'm thinking.
I know.
Of, and
yeah.
Oh my word, that is some acting right there.
Command & Conquer had some good ones like that.
It did, but none finer than that.
I mean, I still remember. I don't know how many people listening played the original Command & Conquer, the first game, but I remember when Kane first appeared, because like the entire, like, I want to say like the first half or something of the Nod campaign was you were talking to like his, I don't know, like second in command or something like that, and he's just he's just in the middle of a line telling you what to do, and he just gets fucking gun shot in the face, and he's dead, and Kane just sits down and is just like, no, this is what you're doing. And it was like, that was the sort of ridiculous, because it was, it was all FMV, it was real actors kind of thing, but it was so poorly done because it was of that era. I mean, what, the 90s, was it? Command & Conquer? Early 90s, something like that?
Ooh, the first one would have been, yeah.
Early to mid 90s, so it was very much of the era of stuff like Wing Commander and that kind of stuff anyway. There was quite a lot.
I can give you a really recent one.
Please do.
Kratos, referring to being told you'll always be a monster, saying, "I know, but I am your monster no longer."
Yeah.
That particular line, always, that was the moment I was out of my chair just going, "What the fucking,"
I'm quite surprised that you didn't just say "boy," that's...
No, because I hate that shit. I hate that shit when something like that becomes I hate that. Like, it just feels like someone's trying to ruin the game and make something I felt was really amazing into something stupid.
You've just described the internet, Adam.
I know.
You've just described the internet.
Yeah, you're right.
The three that come to my mind very quickly was of recent, anyway, very recent, was Joel's appearance in Last of Us 2. I adored what he said to Ellie. Like, you didn't think I'd let you do this alone, whatever. It just completely.
Sorry, it's just the way you say, like, I really love this line or whatever. It just kind of, just removes a little bit of the sheen from that.
I just absolutely adored the delivery of it. It was amazing. Another one I absolutely love is we all make choices in life, but in the end, our choices make us. Andrew Ryan and BioShock, unreal.
Speaking of BioShock, you're the only one with the correct accent to do it. Well, it's actually not your accent, but it's closer than it would be if I did it. 3 words.
Go for it. Attempt my accent in it.
I couldn't do your accent in it, but I could maybe do the accent.
Go for it.
Would you kindly? Nah, it's too deep, isn't it? Would you kindly? I've got stage fright, Adam.
Would you kindly?
That's it. Yeah, that's far closer. Much easier when it's your natural accent.
It's brilliant. And then a comedic one, I'll just say. Well, it's not comedy at all, but it's just one that I always remember. Was Sunset Riders on the SNES. It's like a very early boss fight, and this guy, you end up killing him, and he drops to the ground. And he just goes, "Bury me with my money," and it's just fucking brilliant.
What was your BioShock one? Sorry, what was the one you said first?
The Andrew Ryan one, where he says we all make choices in life, but in the end, our choices make us.
Because the one I think I'd have gone for. He says, "A man chooses a slave of babes."
Yeah. I think
that's a great one.
One of mine's
so many great ones.
Talking to BioShock as well, is from Infinite. When she asks him, it's like, "Are you afraid of God?" And he says, "No, but I am afraid of you." That line was just amazing. Like, oh yes. I mean, that game was brilliant. I mean, it had some really shitty combat issues, but that story and everything was brilliant.
I mean, Resquiate and Pache, I suppose. Assassin's Creed 2. I want to quickly. Do you know? I was just thinking: is the cake is a lie? Is that ever said, or is it just written on the wall in Portal?
Wow, I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember.
Is it actually said, or is it just on that light on the wall?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, and then, of course, Duke Nukem, it's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of gum, of course.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And I will just want to throw a quick nod to Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, the Senator Armstrong speech, the presidential thing at the end. It's it's mental. It's just.
Do you know one? Actually, very quickly, there's one last one that I remember because it's of a recent game of this year, basically. Crash Team Racing. Who's the evil dude in Crash?
Cortex.
He always says this hilarious line, "The trophy's mine." And it's really funny when he's like absolutely burning ahead of you and he's like, "The trophy's mine!" And he just tears off. It's really enjoyable every time.
As is this podcast, and you can listen to us every Wednesday. If you want to listen to us early, super early, you can do so by going to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, where for $1 a month, so around about a tenner a year, you'll get this podcast every week early, and you get early access to our videos. There's some stuff gone up recently, like we're turning our Switch Report feature into a video, so it's video reviews of Switch ports. And you can see all that stuff early and just see the kind of stuff we try out and how it goes. See our mailbags early, which we call postbags. You see vlogs early, everything. It's, and we also give away codes. If you're $30 tier, you get the ketchup T-shirt. We think we give good value for money. So it's $1 a month, which is barely even £1 now, thankfully. Not. I say thankfully, I mean not. Well, it's just shit in it. Basically, it's just shit over here right now. But the podcast is not shit, is it? That's the important part.
Nice turnaround. Nice turnaround.
It's not all falling apart around our ears on the podcast. It's not. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being here, Adam and Gary, as always.
Thank you.
Yep, thank
Everyone
you.
else, You know where to go, and we'll speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye for now.